Who they I feel like I'm wasting content right now even saying this. This is good content to put up there, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, definitely. Oh, it's already on. Oh shit. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, I feel like with jokes, like your jokes are always gonna offend people. There's always someone out there who's gonna get offended, and obviously in a world now where there's very people who are very like sensitive about everything, so it's like you have to be mindful of what you say. So you'd rather not tell a joke and just keep it a bit like.
Yeah.
And you always got to be switched on. Sometimes I don't want to be switched on. I want to just relax. I want to just chill. You know, just not do anything, man. So
that's the thing. I think you're right. I think people take things too seriously. Do you know what I've been doing a lot? Yeah.
What's that?
Like I feel like I've become like a troll, innit?
No, that's 50. Remember that feature with 50 Cent?
Yeah. But do you know what's funny? Yeah, like my trolling is kind of like trolling's always got like a lesson behind it.
Oh, okay.
Or like there's like I troll with purpose. I don't troll just for the sake of it, just to like kind of piss someone off. Yeah, like my trolling's got lessons behind it. But the problem is because it's trolling, like people don't realize what the lesson is, and they think I'm just being like an arsehole, basically.
No, I agree with you. I feel like, you know, even with remember 50 Cent, like he does the trolling a lot, but I feel like his trolling is very, very calculated, very, very calculated. He doesn't do it without an intention. There's always maybe they've been the odd occasion, few ways done that, but if you haven't realized, within all these trolls, like whatever he does, he hashtags his like label, like he will hashtag like his alcohol and stuff like that. So there's always a bigger purpose behind it. Like he won't just troll for the sake of it, and there's no caption. So there's no hashtag at the end of it. So there's a hashtag. So there's always a purpose to it behind it. But I've been saying for the longest time that guy is a genius. I don't know who's advising him, but if whoever's advising him, please give me some advice. Because I want some advice. I want some of that knowledge, you know. Because the steps in which he's moved from his early stages up to where he is now, this guy has progressed a lot. Like all the TV shows he's getting into now, like doing various different things. Like that's genius, man. That's wicked.
Yeah, like do you think like, because obviously I had this conversation with you before, and I feel like he's posting half of his stuff himself. Like, do you think someone's posting it for him?
Do you know what? That's what I think. I mean, to a degree, I feel like he might. I don't know. Maybe I have a bit. I don't know. Maybe I think like he might have an idea that post that, and then someone might get behind it and say, okay, let's put this caption behind it. We'll make it sound funny, this and this and that, blah blah blah. I don't know really. Maybe he could be the one posting. I don't know, but I feel like with a lot of these YouTubers and even Instagram people, like these celebrities, I feel like they got handlers who do that stuff for them. They pay them to do this stuff.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with that. But I just feel like do you remember like when 50 Cent used to like, he was trolling like Rick Ross, like
the Rick Ross one dropped me, man.
He's done something to his baby mom and like that.
The one,
he's just some mad stuff.
Remember I said I shouldn't even laugh about this. Yeah, it's the one when I think Rick Ross was in. I think he might have been in intensive care. Like it looked as if we were gonna lose Rick Ross. Like it was a big deal. And he put up a picture of Ivan Drago in it. And if we all know Ivan Drago from the Rocky film, right? There's a saying, he goes, if he dies, isn't it? So he just put up the picture there, no caption, nothing. And if you know, in it. So that's what I mean. He left it out there for the people to guess, what's he talking about? But at the time, I won't lie to you, it was very hilarious. But obviously, I'll never wish death on anyone. But it was just funny at the moment. But then that's what I mean by jokes, isn't it? You know, some people are going to get offended. Other people will take it with a pinch of salt. Take it for face value. Like, it's not that deep. Take it on the chin and, move on. But that's the world we live in, man. So
yeah, no, 50 is a troll, man.
No, he's a serious troll. Serious troll.
So just for the sake of like people that are watching or listening, I always like to create a little bit of context, like, with the guest and who the guest is. So if you don't mind me saying, like, first thing I'm gonna say about you is that, and then you can introduce yourself however you want to. But the first thing I'm gonna say is that I feel like you're like a hidden gem. And the reason I say this is like, if someone doesn't know you, and I feel like I got to know you like recently a bit more than I did before, and I feel like you've got so much to share and you've got such a great insights. But if someone doesn't know you, like they won't know what you know, kind of thing. That's
interesting. That's an interesting one. Thanks for that. I'll take the compliment. That's a nice one. I mean, I can really define myself as me. Really, I'm Dwayne, and that's just about it. Everything else comes afterwards. But first and foremost, I'm Dwayne. Like before anything else, because when you strip everything else down, that's what it is. I'm me. That's how I can. That's the best way for me to define myself, really.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things we like to start the podcast with is always like a random question or something funny or whatever. So the one I've got today, is if you was a superhero, what superpower would you have?
Ooh.
I hit you with it, man.
I
hit you with that right across.
This is going to be very controversial, but I feel like my superpower would be reading minds. I think I would want to read minds, because if I read minds, then I know all, really, isn't it?
So would it be?
I like
would
to know
it,
what
would
people are
it,
thinking.
Would it be reading minds by choice, or would it be reading minds kind of like like?
If I
Would it be something you can control?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I have to definitely control it because I feel like if I can't control it, then that's when, listen, I'll be in a mental asylum right now. You know?
It's just, it all passing. You just
like everyone's passing that saying, and you know, by the way, there's some stuff you don't want to hear. Let's just be real. There's some stuff we really don't want to hear. So yeah, definitely by choice. But 100% it'll be reading minds. I think reading minds is something, you know. I always like to know what people think. So if I don't know what people think, then I try and use my use my wits to try and gauge it out of people, like see what they think about me. Particularly, that's what it is, what people think about me. In certain settings, when I'm in certain areas, well, not areas, sorry, certain like certain settings and stuff like that. I like to sort of gauge what people think about me. So I ask particular questions, you know, I say particular phrases to say, all right, cool, what does this person get about it? Okay, it's a bit of a game I play, fair enough. But sometimes I feel like you need to know how people think about you, so then you know how to move properly and how to move appropriately.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
But you know what? In a weird way, I'm going to flip it a little bit. And I feel like not knowing what people think, there's a beauty in that. There's just kind of like...
That's true as well.
It's almost like if I knew what someone's thinking, it's almost like I take, like what you said, like there's a little bit of like kind of like a game and stuff. Like I would take away that process. I would take the process away of trying to figure out what, you know, where the person's coming from, and kind of like I would take the whole learning process away from, you know, what is this person thinking?
Okay, yeah. It takes the beauty out of it, isn't it? Like just the not knowing, you know, the uncharted waters and stuff like that. Like I agree with you on that front. I mean, it was hypothetically anyways. So of course, realistically, like we're not gonna really know what everyone thinks. And I think in general, like we shouldn't really have to know everything. Just in general, like I feel like the more, because if you've probably noticed this now, like I like reading a lot now, and so especially over the COVID time, I've tend to pick up reading much more, and you know I'm always trying to. But my problem has always been though, I like to sort of juggle books a bit. So if I hear something from a certain book, and the book, you know how I think you mentioned it in Jacob's podcast, how books are obviously referenced from other books. So I'll get a quote, I'll say, oh, that's an interesting quote. Then I go want to find that book that said that quote. Then all of a sudden I'm stuck on that book. Then I'm thinking, oh, I forgot about that book. I have to go get onto the other one. But it's like what was I gonna say? Like it's very very. I've even fallen off my point of what I was saying. Just rolled off the tongue with me. But I feel like since I've been reading, it's made me feel like I don't know much. Like the more I read, the less I know in general, if that makes sense. So it does. It's like it's okay not to know stuff, and I think that's the beauty of it. It's like there's so much stuff we don't know, and it's okay not to know all this stuff. Like people sit here and try and tell you, oh, like this happens for this reason and this happens for that reason. Sometimes it just happens. Like you can't explain why things happen. Things just happen for the sake of happening, and I feel like reading's taught me that as well. It's taught me a lot.
But that's the thing, and I agree with you. I think not knowing actually creates space to learn something new. And it's like if you knew everything, then like life would be boring. Like it's just
I agree.
You really know anything. So like, what's the point of like, you know, doing stuff? That's why like every single day, like I don't know. Somehow I get in these moments. So like I think I know everything. Not like that. Not as in like know it all. But like I feel like I've seen everything. I've learned everything, and then it's just like something new comes. I'm like, wow, I was not expecting that.
But I feel like if we know everything, then why do we learn? You see, why do we feel the need to say, don't learn then? You figured out life, then so be it. I feel like we're on that journey, and everyone's on that journey to figure out life. Even I feel like the ones who have got it figured out haven't got it completely figured out. You know, from the outside looking in, it looks as if they have got it figured out, but they haven't got it all figured out. But they'll put on that persona that they have because maybe they don't want people to see them. They don't want to see people to see them as something weak, you know. So they'll say, I've got this, I've got that, I've got this figured out, but you haven't. And it's okay. It's okay not to figure it out. And I think it goes to that one word that I've been saying it a lot these days is acceptance. Like you got to accept the fact that things are the way they are. Don't question it. Just it is the way it is. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like to a degree, science is that question. I always want to find out. There's got to be an answer to this. Sometimes what if the answer is not there? There's some things that are beyond our understanding, and I think I've come to terms with that. Like things happen. I do believe to a degree things happen for a reason. So things are set in stone for a reason. So if let's say you broke your leg today, there's a reason why you broke your leg. There might be a reason why you broke your leg, but there's a higher meaning as to why you broke your leg. You might know maybe later down the line why it happened. Maybe if you broke your leg now because there's another time you might be, let's say, if you didn't break your leg, let's just say in another parallel sort of universe or whatever like that. If you didn't break your leg and you were running, you might have been ran over, and that would have been the end of that timeline. That would have been the end of you in that timeline. So I don't know. I'm just seeing it from different.
So you know what? So I have another way of explaining that thing, and it kind of like it gives me like a little bit of hope when I go through certain situations and stuff. So like I feel like in life, and I've learned this somewhere, I can't remember where, but in life there's 4 different types of benefits in any situation. So there's short-term benefits that you can see, and long-term benefits that you can see. But there's also the beauty of that is that there's also short-term benefits you can't see yet, and there's long-term benefits you can't see yet. Usually the long-term benefits are the best ones. So for example, like you said, like, you know, like you got, you know, you broke a leg, and it's just like you might not do this thing, and the benefit might be like you actually like maybe like lived, because you would have went somewhere else and you could have got something else would have happened to you, you know.
Maybe you find your soulmate, you know. Maybe I don't know, maybe for some reason, I don't know, let's say when you had, you know, both your legs, you're always on the move, you never slowed down, never took time to slow down. Because of that, like, you're always constantly moving, like you never find time to settle down or do whatever. So maybe breaking your leg helps you, brings you down a bit,
slows you down, think about
then
things,
you start thinking about life. You never know, you never know who you meet in that process. So I feel like things do happen for a reason, and I feel like for us to question those reasons is I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I mean, people, you're always going to question, like, be like, oh, would my life have been better if I did this, or if this didn't happen to me, if that didn't happen to me. Sometimes it is what it is, you know. Like,
but that's only within our head, right? Like that's not like thinking about that doesn't really take us anywhere. It just kind of spins in our head, and then round and round.
And then it just makes you miserable. And to be honest with you, it's something even to this day. Like, I won't lie to you, I struggle with it, but I'm aware of it. I'm aware I do it, but I struggle with it still. Like, you know, something I didn't do, or, you know, when you have regrets, like, oh, why didn't I do this? I think it's something you also spoke about in Jacob's episode, where you spoke about, like, you know, speaking to the elderly, and then, you know, the getting a bit of insight on how they do certain things, and thinking, okay, how can I bring this into my life and stuff like that, and any regrets in this and that. But what if it wasn't a regret? What if that, you know, was how it's supposed to be? But we don't think that deep. You know, we're thinking. We don't think for the. The problem is we think for the what is it? I think it's a gift and a curse that we think for the now, because I do encourage people to think for the now rather than the later. But it can be a gift and a curse. If you're thinking of the now, let's say for instance you've now just let's say you've just broken your leg right now, and you're thinking it's the end of the world. You're thinking of the now, isn't it? Oh, it's the end of the world. Oh, you know, I can't do anything else. You know, my life's finished. But you never know, down 2-3 years down the line, because you broke your leg, you're now you're next Elon Musk or something. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, things can happen. And I do always feel like things happen for a reason. Things do happen for a reason. I like
Elon Musk, you know, but I feel like a lot of people put him in a pedestal recently, and he's really like playing around with cryptocurrencies and stuff. It's just making him.
He's a troll. I think he's a troll. I think he's a troll.
You know what? Maybe this is why I like him, because I'm a troll as well. So I kind of get where he's coming from. Because you know what it is, like look at it this way. So like, see, his trolling is it's making cryptocurrencies go up and down and all of that stuff, right? So I'm thinking, like, what is he teaching with that? Because I feel like he doesn't do things just for no reason. You know what I'm trying to say? And some people will say, yeah, he's doing it for monetary gain. But I think he's trying to show people something that, you know, sometimes, what was that recent thing in someone in a conference, in a football conference, someone was just like, it was Ronaldo, innit? There was Coca-Cola there, and there was water, and he moved Coca-Cola bottles away, and then Coca-Cola
I don't think I see that.
That's recent as well, and they lost like 4 billion.
Oh, why? What?
They lost 4 billion in shares just because of that. Because Ronaldo was in conference. Yeah, he had 2 Coca-Cola bottles in front of him, and he had a water bottle. He moved the Coca-Cola bottles to the side, and he said, "Drink water." Yeah, and the Coca-Cola lost 4 billion.
Oh, hey, yo.
Coca-Cola sponsored the Euros.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Either Ronaldo's gonna get a big hit from that, or Coke.
No, but it depends. It depends because you know, a lot of these people, like a lot of these celebrities, they're sponsored by certain things. Like, you might be sponsored by Lucozade and not Coca-Cola, so you don't really give too.
But it's sponsored by Coca-Cola, which means.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but
even like Pogba was recently with Heineken. Obviously, he did on the more Muslim thing because Heineken was beer, and he did the exact same thing. I don't know if Heineken lost anything, but
you know what? Is this Cristiano? We talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah, but the thing is, he's already he's reached that level where he can almost troll and get, not to say get away with it, but he's made his money. It's like 50. It's like
people find you, couldn't tell how much you make, not how couldn't tell that.
No. But what I'm saying is that look at someone like Floyd Mayweather, for instance, like a big troll, but like with Floyd, he can do whatever. He can say right now. He could probably say some outlandish stuff, and they're not going to take his money away from him because he said that. He's already rich. Like you can't really say much to him.
You know what? See, when it comes to Floyd, I feel like banning Floyd from this podcast. It's like it's not like Floyd's not even allowed to be on this podcast. I've lost. Listen, after this last. After the last shenanigans and just seeing him selling out for money,
boxing guy, listen,
it don't exist to me
as a boxing guy, listen, as a boxer, as a boxing fan, I will never take away what Floyd has done for the sport. I mean, okay, yeah, he's done. I mean, he said stuff and
so
he's done
that's
stuff.
the question. Mm-hmm. Did he do that for the sport or did he do it for himself?
He did it for the money, and we know this. He did it for the money. Yeah, but I feel like, you know, he hasn't really got much to prove. I get it. I think Canelo made a point of saying that, you know, he's sort of disgracing the sport, and I get that. I do get that, but like you have to understand, like he's been there, he's done that. He hasn't got to really prove anything to anyone. He's beat the best.
What, yeah.
He's done everything he has to do. Now he's doing his thing.
I'm having second thoughts now. I've just literally in the moment. Actually, I'm thinking maybe, you know what? Maybe boxing world is about to see something completely new. You know, like all these YouTube fighters and whatever. Maybe the whole platform for boxing is just about to open up.
Yeah, maybe it's taking a transition.
Because like really and truly, if someone's got a mindset to become a champion, let's say someone's a YouTuber, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say for them to become the best YouTuber, right? They need to have a certain mindset that they're putting in the work, they're grinding, they have a team, they're working with the team, so on, so on. But then what if they take that, then transfer it into becoming a champion in boxing? Can they still use the same mindset and push themselves to actually become really sick at boxing? Or is that something people need to start from a certain age? Because I've seen people become like champions from, you know, like they might start boxing at 20 and they become like really sick.
You know, I don't want anyone else thinks in this, but I think just for people who compete, like, you know, athletes and everything, I think on my take on that would be, if you're a YouTuber and you want to transition to, you know, boxing, I feel like take the sport seriously. Don't take the mick and I feel like there's levels to this, so you got to work your way up. Like, it's not fair for a YouTuber. Personally, I just feel like with me, it's not fair. I don't think it's fair for a YouTuber to start boxing and he's already fighting big names or getting big boy money. Like I thought, you know, there's boxers who've been, you know, they've been in the gutters. They're putting in the work. They're not getting anywhere close to that money, and then these YouTubers are making all.
But this is the thing. But from my perspective, maybe it's the YouTubers that are bringing the money. Because if you think about some of these YouTubers, they're already like millionaires.
Okay, all right, cool. That's fine. Bring the money. I understand you're bringing the money, but I feel like you're now coming into territory you're coming into a different sort of territory. You're coming into boxing. So if you're going to come into that territory, I feel like you need to respect the sport. So if you want to train, you want to do certain things, you want to fight certain fighters, you got to work your way up to it.
That's the thing. These trainers, these YouTubers, they train.
They train. But then what I'm trying to say is that, okay, look at Logan Paul for it. No, is it who's the older one? Is that the older one? Yeah, Logan Paul, isn't it? Like fighting Mayweather. There's guys out there who've been like literally they're watching Mayweather, like watching all his movements. Like, I want to fight this guy one day. He's a boxer. He's trained. These guys don't sleep. Like they eat, sleep, and train boxing. That's all they do. Like no sleeping, nothing. And their dedication, their sole purpose and dedication is that I want to fight Mayweather.
You can't blame someone for utilizing.
I'm not blaming them.
Look at this way. Sorry, look at this way. Yeah, Logan Paul, for example, he once upon a time everyone is a no one in the eyes of the public. Once upon a time everyone is no one. For you to get popularity or to get fame, whatever, you have to earn it, right? You have to work for it. So he's worked for it in this area. He's worked for it in the media, not boxing, in the media area, in the YouTubing and whatever. And back then it was Vine or whatever. So he worked for that. Now he's earned this entire fan base. He says, "Cool, what can I do with this fan base? What entertainment can I bring to it?" Because obviously he's an entertainer, right?
I agree with you.
So then he said, "Cool, I want to do boxing," and he worked for his box. But if you look at his build from that, you can tell he worked for it.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, like I said, I feel like those guys, to me personally, I feel like they got to wait in line. There's people out there who've been hungry and they're still hungry and they're not getting those opportunities. They're not getting those big pay. Like Logan Paul, this guy can decide to, and Jake Paul, they can decide to fight one day and they're still set for the rest of their lives. These guys, boxing puts food on their table. They need these big fights, but they're not getting these big fights. I get it, you know, they've got the platforms, but the point I'm trying to make to you is that I feel like there should be priorities. There should be people they put priority.
Because boxing is an entertainment sport. Most sports nowadays that's been broadcasted is purely for entertainment. So if Mayweather was to fight someone who isn't known by the public but has been training his entire life, there's not gonna be entertaining.
That's true. It's
Do you know what it
entertaining.
is? Yeah. Do you know what it is? It's like we live in an era where whoever can generate attention is gonna generate money.
That's
so
true.
So like
That's true.
anyone that can generate attention. So like if you're a YouTuber, you're doing something else or whatever. Like if you can generate people's attention, you're a good troll, whatever. Like look at 6ix9ine. Look at that 6ix9ine guy. Like he was like one of the biggest trolls, and he was just generating so much attention. Hence like why he kind of like he's a snitch, but he went so far. he's you know what I'm saying, but.
If I can just get back to this boxing thing for just 1 second, you spoke about the entertainment factor of it. Yeah, for again, outside looking in, that's what it is. We love to see it, but to these guys, it's not a game. Like, some of them will tell you, this is not a game. This is my life. Like it's entertainment to you, but this is how I feed my kids. That perspective there, that mindset there would already let you know that to them this is not something. I mean, okay, yeah, that comes along with it. That will come with it later on. But first and foremost, they're trying to put food on the table for their families.
So in that case, if it was a thing where, cool, I can get you to, I'll use your example just for clarity purposes. But let's say I can get you into a fight, and this fight, if win, lose or draw, you'll be set for life. But no one knows about you. No one is behind the closed doors. No one knows it. Would you still take it?
Of course I would.
You would take it.
Am I getting paid? Am I getting paid?
Yeah.
Like, is it 6 figures or something like that? Like, here's the thing.
So are you applying for money then?
No, but here's the thing. I'm not a pro boxer. You see what I mean? But I would respect the sport. And again, like I said, I've trained like a boxer anyways, like an amateur boxer at least anyway. So I know what these guys do. I know what the stuff they go through. So I take things seriously. But I feel like I mean. Again, when it comes to the whole money aspect of things, we live in a world where, let's just be real, like you can't live without having money. So if they put certain money in front of my face, listen, I'll be the first to say, after seeing how much Mayweather got for that fight, I think something around 100 and something million or something like that. And then Jake Paul got, I keep saying Logan Paul got another payout for something million. I'm not silly. I would want to fight Mayweather as well. Like, come on, that's a big payout. But the difference is, it's like I think with a lot of boxers, it's pride as well. There's pride in line as well. So I think we just have to respect the sport. We do have to respect it.
From my perspective, the way I see it, like I said, most things we do nowadays is for entertainment. Sports being an example. So if you have a genuine love for sport and all you care about is the sport and not to entertain, not money, whatever, then you just stay low level and you find another job, whatever. But if you actually have genuine passion, if you can find a way to balance entertaining people and love for the sport, then go and aim for the biggest.
Do you know what it is? Yeah, I'll tell you what it is. I think both of the was it Logan Paul?
Logan Paul? Jake
Paul, Logan Paul and Mayweather, all of them people. I think they just got bad spending habits. I think I'm just gonna go back to the point of like, it doesn't like you can give someone that's broke 100 million they'll spend that they'll go broke in like within a week. It doesn't matter how much money you give them. If they've got bad spending habits, that money will go.
I like that.
That point. So see like Mayweather. And I was speaking to Ebbs actually. This came from Ebbs, and Ebbs made a really good point. And he said like Mayweather, like he can't keep his mouth shut. He tells everything that he does.
You told me this. He told me this all the time.
And see him. Like he if he made some smart investments, he would have been telling people, I invested in this, but he keeps saying, I got investments, but it doesn't actually say what investments. So I think,
true. I agree.
I just think he's got bad spending habits. He hasn't made any smart investments, and it's just like he's got that mentality because he's coming from being broke and he just splashes his money. And I think same with loads of other these famous people,
I agree with you.
And they're looking for like quick ways to make money because they're spending money really fast.
But you know what?
Instead of making the money work for them.
But the thing is, I feel like a lot of people have come from poverty, but I think it comes down to your mindset. Because I thought you were going to touch on this point. I always bring up by using an analogy of like, for instance, a weapon. Even though I don't really condone like this stuff, but I was going to say like, you give a kid a weapon, right? He's going to kill people. Whereas if you give a man a weapon, he's going to defend his family. But what I mean by the kid and the man is that's the mindset. So the mindset, you give a grown man a gun, and if he's got a silly mindset, then he's going to go do madness with it. But now you can use that same analogy with money. If you give them money, they're going to go blow it out and do craziness with it. I don't know, go spend it on drugs and get themselves, in situations they can't get themselves out of. Whereas if you give, a man money, and what I mean by the man again, I mean the mindset, they're going to use that to, double it. You make investments.
There's a level of discipline. There's a level of discipline. There's a level of discipline to go. You know what? I've got 100. I was broke today. I have 100 million tomorrow. There's a level of discipline not to get excited and go. You know what? I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this, because it's almost like, if the mindset is poor, it doesn't matter how much money you give to the person.
I agree.
Because suddenly they go, let me buy this, let me buy this. Next thing you know, like, half of the money is already gone because they got so excited about having that money. And it's just like, and you haven't really like made any smart investments where you could actually put that money into something where it generates income for you. Then you can just slowly, like, you know, get wherever you want. Like,
you're right. Again, like I said, we just touching on it again. Mindset. That's one of the most profound things. Like, if you haven't got the mindset right, then, you know, everything else just falls to shambles.
Set your mind.
That's it.
How do we set our minds? You know, like that sort of thing. It's really interesting. Do you know what? I want to rewind a little bit. You spoke about learning earlier. I just wanted to ask you, like, what are we learning for? Because, you know, we spoke about there's always something to learn and stuff. And like, what are we learning for?
I think learning for understanding. I think we learn. I can speak for myself. I learn for understanding, just understanding of things, and understanding might not necessarily mean having to know certain things, but I feel like, you know, we live in a culture now where we're so focused on what's happening in front of us and around us that we don't think that we don't think there's anything outside of the UK, and we don't think there's anything outside of Europe and outside, but there's bigger, more different sort of cultures all over the place. So I feel like learning lets you learn about different sort of cultures and what they're doing, and, you know, all bits and bobs. And there's actually a book called, I don't know if you've heard of, Silk Roads. I forgot the name of the author actually, but he's a very good author. But he also speaks about that briefly. Like, talks about, I mean, the book basically just talks about different sort of, like, there's a bigger culture outside of, you know, Europe. We feel as though Europe is the be all and end all to life. There isn't much outside of Europe. But when you do look outside of Europe, there's so many things to explore, different sort of stuff. And my perspective on that really is just like, you know, learning different things. And you're like, okay, this is how that's done. That's how that's done. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, in this culture they do this, in that culture they do that. And it's good to know, because it's ignorance otherwise. If you don't want to learn, to me, that's my opinion, is that it's ignorance, because you feel like you have all the answers again, and you don't have all the answers. And I'm not saying that I want all the answers, but I'm saying I want to understand. I like to understand how other people go about thinking certain things or doing why they do certain things. If that makes sense.
No, it does make sense, and I think I agree with you. I think, and I'll just phrase it in a different way. I think the world is only as big as much as we travel. You know, it gets the more we travel, the bigger it gets. It's actually one of my favorite quotes of the last year is, a mind that's been stretched by a new experience cannot go back to its old dimensions. So it's like once I travel and I see different parts of the world, like my mind is not the same no more. It's just my mind expands. You know, I see things differently, and that goes with learning in general. But yeah. So I've got a slightly different question to change.
I've got a question for you afterwards, but it's going.
Alright, cool. So is love a choice or a feeling?
Ooh, love a choice or feeling. I feel like I read about this somewhere. Is love a choice or feeling? And I feel as though I had an answer for it. Is love a choice or a feeling? I think it's a bit of both. Really. I think it's a choice and it's a feeling, because, you know, there's we've all had that. You know, we've all been there. If we haven't, then, you know, explain it to you now. But we've all been in this stage where you feel, oh, I love this person. So what is that? Is that a feeling or is that a choice? It's something you feel like, oh, I think you think you love this person. If you're thinking, you're feeling that. That's how you feel. I love this person, or I love that person. And I think I'm swaying a bit more now towards feeling than choice, if that makes sense. But I do feel like it might be a bit of both.
So I think, you know what, I agree with you. I think it's both as well, and I think it becomes choice. And this is coming to me fresh. I didn't think about this before I even asked you. So I think it becomes the choice once the feeling goes away.
I think the best way to put it, I feel feeling. Choice is voluntary and feeling is involuntary. If that makes sense.
So feeling something that might just come up.
So choice you can control, whereas feeling you can't control, if that makes sense. So there's things that we can control and things that we can't control.
So this is the question. So does how we think influence how we feel?
Does how we think influence how we feel? That's a good one. I think so, yeah. I mean, definitely it is. But again, like I said, I feel, you know, It's a bit of both. It still is a bit of both. Choice and feeling, it is a bit of both. But again, like I said, I think I'll sway, just for the sake of love, I think I'll sway a bit more closer to feeling.
Yeah, cool.
I'll sway a bit more closer to feeling, yeah. Because you know what? I can turn around tomorrow and say, I love this person. And I've chosen to love this person, but it's not because I've got any feelings or whatever. Whereas then on another occasion, you might feel like you get close to someone, you don't know if it's love or not. Then you realize, oh, you know, I love this person. And this could be in whatever context it is. Yeah, I love this person. And then, you know, you're saying it out loud, but you know, over the time you've built a rapport, you've got this relationship going on, and now you have feelings towards that person. So now you love that person. Does that make sense? So it is a bit of both in a sense.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. What's your question?
My question was actually, what made you like want to start this whole thing? Because like, it's amazing, to be honest with you. It's really, really big. But I wanted to ask you, like, what made you get like?
I'm smiling already, yeah, because like my answer's gonna be kind of like slightly not what you'd probably expect. What made me start this whole thing is not giving a shit.
That's fine, you know.
But you know, like let me explain and so I think actually it's obviously, I think initially, like the essence of what made me want to start this thing was I wanted to have conversations where we can create some type of content where someone can listen to. And I think initially, like even for me, like to start this, it's not even about money or, you know, I don't know if it's going to make money or not, but it's about adding value, creating valuable content for people to listen to and to kind of like just go, you know what, I really like this, I can take this, I can develop myself a little bit further by listening to this and stuff. So it was kind of like, that was the goal. And I think that just goes back to my purpose of like wanting to do that for people. But what really kind of helped me start this is not giving a shit, because I had this thing of like, you know, you do this whole thing of like, what are people going to think? And they're thinking about people's judgment about this and that. And it's just like, and I realized, you know what, forget all of that. And I don't give a shit. I'm just going to go for it.
You know what? Just to touch on that, I feel like that's the problem we have in society a lot, like where we do things based off how others will feel. And I don't know if this was, we got this recorded when we were talking about it before. It was candid and stuff when we were like started the conversation. But people tend to people, like, we live in a world of people who are very, very, very sensitive about certain things. So it makes you have to filter certain things, and you know, it might make you. It might make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I feel like, why should you have to live your life to satisfy or to make other people feel comfortable? Because then it makes you feel uncomfortable, and when you feel uncomfortable, then you get miserable, then you get in a state, but then that person doesn't care because, okay, I'm comfortable, but then what about you? You see what I mean? Like, I feel like, okay, words are powerful. I do agree, words are powerful. However, I just don't feel as though you should condemn someone because they've said something you don't agree with or something you don't like to hear. Like,
yeah,
gotta get over it, man. Just get over it. You know,
do you know what?
That's my opinion.
It makes like, so I think there's two things. Yeah, I think. Number one, I think it makes no sense because like we're meant to have a freedom of speech, right? And then we're saying we've got freedom of speech, and then people say certain things and people get cancelled and all of these different things and stuff. And I think, so there's three things actually. So this is the first thing. The second thing is like, a lot of the time when people say stuff, people might say stuff from a complete different intention internally, but other people will listen to what the person said and make up their own story about what the intention is. And that's when people, like, you know, like someone might say like whatever, like, I'm just thinking of a really like simple example. There's, you know what, this is my favorite example. It's such a small example, but it puts things in context. Like I might go, you know what, I like color red. Yeah, and then someone will go to me, they'll go like,
I don't like it.
Yeah, no, someone, what, you saying you don't like green? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
No, I agree with you. No, I agree. And then you're thinking like, come on, and then they're like, no. Then you've got to apologize for it. No, you got to make a, you know, you got to make a public apology about not liking the color green. But I got a preference, and I think that's what it comes down to. Everyone's got a personal preference.
But no one even said that. So it's just this,
that's
really,
what I mean.
So conversations are really interesting, or when people listen to stuff and how they listen to stuff is really interesting, because like they'll find something that they want to they'll project themselves onto that conversation. And they'll find something that no one's even said, and it's just like, you're making this up. And sometimes on a rare occasion that might even be the case, you know, but you don't know until the person really tells you what the intentions are. And just going back to the point of, like you said, if your superpower is like reading minds and stuff, that's the only way you could know.
No, it's true. And you know, touching on the point of, you know, freedom of speech, like, to a degree, I understand it. So let's say, for instance, right, like I'll just use this as an example. So if let's say I say something hateful towards another group of people or whatever for that other reason, right? If someone was saying that stuff to me, for instance, right, it wouldn't really bother me as bad. But if, let's say, whatever you're saying is sort of enticing a mob, in making people want to sort of react towards me a certain way because you've said this. Like if I say, if you let me give an example. Or if I see this green person, if I see a green person on the road, I want to slap him up. I want to make him look silly. And the power of speech is powerful. We know that. Like, sorry, yeah. Speech is powerful. So there's people out there who might say, who might take a liking towards what you said, and take what you're saying as gospel and think, he said it, so I'm going to do it, and I'm going to go slap someone up there. So the difference is those two things. So I've gone out and I've said that, I don't like these people and I want to bring harm upon them. That's a completely different thing. Because I feel like now you're again, words are powerful, and there's someone out there who's actually going to take that, what you're saying, for gospel, and actually go, now demonstrate that.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Whereas if I say, I just don't like this, I'm not getting into the nitty gritty about, this is it's not. I might even say I don't like it. I might say, that's not my preference. This is my preference. This and that, and that offends people. You see what I mean? Because then it's like I could turn around and tell someone that, what you're doing offends me as well. But then you see what I mean? So I just feel like with certain things. Like certain things like that, for instance, like I think definitely you have to be mindful of what you're saying, but I feel like if you're not, if whatever you're saying is not going to stop me from progressing in life, and it's not going to, if it's not going to stop me from progressing in life, then say whatever you have to say. It's not really going to affect me as bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's my take on it. Anyways, that's for me personally. I can't speak for everyone else.
Yeah, I get that. So that's the thing. So the first thing I was gonna say on that is like, so you mentioned as well. I said words are powerful. So my thing is like, you know what? I feel like as individuals we can always do better and have more resilience towards what people say. So like, for example, someone might say this and then we kind of like, it's almost like no one can make me upset without my consent. So am I giving the person the consent?
Thank you.
Because they can say stuff and it's just like, am I giving the person the consent? So I feel like that's a very, very important thing to develop, like just the resilience towards what people say. Because people say words are powerful, but you know what? Words are nothing unless we give it power. You know what I'm trying to say? And I think. But
then who gives it power?
What I've been learning to separate the two. The words and the physical. Because when someone's coming to you to trying to physically do something to you, that's very different to when someone's saying certain things. And some people say, words can hurt more than physical
sticks and
sometimes.
stones, like we've heard the saying.
Not if you don't allow it to. Where like physically sometimes it's difficult not to allow someone to hurt us physically, because that's a much more difficult thing to control than ourselves internally in terms of how we take stuff.
No, I agree. I do agree with you. Like again, it goes back to that, that old traditional saying, like sticks and stones. Like we all know that saying, that sticks and stones, can break my bones, but words are nothing. But I don't know what the last part of it is. But yeah,
I've got last two questions for you. So this one's let's touch on this one quickly. So for you, is happiness an end goal, or is it simply a byproduct of other things that you do?
I think happiness is an end goal. I feel like we're all put on this earth to love, and to love is happiness, and happiness is love. They both work in tandem together. So I definitely do feel
So if it's an end goal, then So if it's an end goal, then does that mean you achieve it towards the end? Like, is it at what point do you get it? If it's an end goal, like
I think you have to find it. You have to seek for it. Some people have to seek for it. Others might already be with it. But I feel like that's the end goal. There's happiness, finding happiness, and the sooner you find it, the better.
Cool. So and the last question before we check out on the pod. So this is we ask every single guest the same question. You probably heard the question before.
Heard it, several times.
So I hope you're ready for it. So if you had 8 billion people listen to you say one thing, what would it be?
What would it be? I would say live life like a musical rather than a journey. And I always say this, I love this saying, it's like live life as a musical rather than a journey, because with a journey, it looks as if I got this from there's this thing I read on YouTube, like listening to on YouTube, and they said like for you to say life is a journey, that's to say there's a destination, there's a point in which it ends. And if you live your life thinking that way, you're always going to be in a rush to want to do things. You know, it makes you feel like there isn't, like stuff is limited, and so you have to go out there and get it quickly. Whereas if you live life like a musical, like when we listen to music, right, we don't listen to it for it to end, do we? We listen to enjoy it. So that's the whole aspect of it. So take life as a musical, like listen to it, like just enjoy life, like you would enjoy a song. So don't wait for it to finish. That's what I would take from that. So that's what I want to tell people. I know you say this is the little small gem. Maybe that's the hidden gem right there for the people then. But that's what I'll drop for people. Yeah,
I love that's really powerful. Is there anything you like to promote? Anything you want to tell people before we sign out?
Do you know what? I would tell people that, you know, get behind this podcast. I really do feel like there's a lot of positivity in this podcast, and I mean, I've always known you to be quite a insightful person, and this podcast here is, I think it's gonna do very, very big things, especially if you're continuing to do it and keep progressing with that. And I won't say I've really got much to promote at the moment. There's a couple of things in the works here, but obviously I won't really say that on camera and that. But yeah, just that's it. Really.
When it's ready, we'll push out.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
love for that, man. Love.
Respect that, man. Love my bro.
Cool. Cheers. Come on.